Hello, this is February 14, 2018. My lesson in the Anatomy of Change series is titled this time, I Did Not Ask for This. I thought that sometimes where you are functioning in what you feel to do might not necessarily be where you are supposed to. That's just where you're getting your start. That's just where you're getting a feel for what you're doing. You're getting a sense for how it should be done. But as you go on with it, it becomes clearer to you that you don't belong there. If you don't follow that, you're going to fit in there so well that you're just not going to become what you should be. You should be like a tree that's bearing fruit, and it pushes out the fruit all over itself. Here, there, everywhere, fruit here, there, fruit here, there. It doesn't just push out fruit in one spot. It's everywhere. You got to climb the tree or try to get something to pick the fruit from it and so on, and reach over there, and the fruit's just coming out everywhere. That's how you're supposed to be. Now look here at this lesson that I really want you to think about for yourself. I did not ask for this, because when you realize that you have a job to do in this life, whatever it is you're drawn to, it's going to bring you to a place where you have to decide to change, no matter who is there trying to make you remain the same. It's going to make some people feel uncomfortable. Some people are going to curse you out. Some are going to hate you. People just have to do what they want to do, but don't forget to do what you should do. When you are really going the way you should go, and sometimes it brings you some of those negative stuff, you might really have to end up saying to yourself, I did not ask for this. But that's going to be when you know that something is coming from the inside, it's genuine. Assuming that you're doing what you're doing from a good heart, a pure heart, meaning with pure intentions, is what I should say. Now, Ezekiel chapter 4, I'm going to read a few verses here. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 4 to 6, and then I'll read a few more as well, dealing with some talk about some judgment for Israel and the plight of how Israel's condition was bothering the Most High. It says, Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. According to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. Seems kind of strange to me, but there are a lot of strange things in the Torah. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity according to the number of the days, 390 days. So shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. Can you imagine having to lay on your side that long? Like, is this... I mean, did this stuff really happen? Like, sometimes you read the scriptures and you wonder, like, did some of these things really happen just the way they're saying? But anyway, verse 6, And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah. If you have to be sick and you're laying on your side, one side, for a long time, that's going to be very painful and hurt very much. How can you lay for hundreds of days on one side? Just one side. I have appointed thee each day for a year. Now let's go to verse 8 to 10. And behold, I will lay bands upon thee, and thou shalt not turn thee from one side to another, till thou hast ended the days of thy siege. Take thou also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof, according to the number of thy days, that thou shalt of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side. 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight 20 shekels a day. From time to time shalt thou eat. So it's all measured out, and things seem exact. Let's go to verse 12. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt take it with dung that cometh out of man in their sight. Bake it with this. Okay, I guess some people, if you look into it, they really use dung to bake stuff. You know, even manure is used to grow our food. Personally, I would not choose to grow my food with manure, with any kind of poo from any animal or from humans. I know they'll tell us all kinds of good things about that. I just don't like the idea of growing some tomatoes and you're pooing right on it so the roots get it, or you're letting the dog or the cow poo right on it, even though it still comes out looking nice and red and all that. Like, to just use poo, and can you imagine just like a cesspool truck just pouring out a whole lot of that stuff right there? I can't see the first people on earth, Adam and Son, or whatever their names really were, deciding that they're going to poo every time they need to poo right by the roots of the trees that they are going to eat from and on the herbs. So at some point, pooing on food or using poo with food started to happen. But I just kind of get the idea that somehow initially there was just water being used to grow food with sunlight and with the nutrients that are in the earth. That's how I kind of like it, you know. But the dung that cometh out of man in their sight. Verse 14 to 15. Then said I, Ah, Lord God, behold, my soul hath not been polluted, for from my youth up even till now have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. Then he said unto me, Lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith. And people have said, did Ezekiel really have to eat? Basically, eat shit. Because that's how we call it today, right? The prophet here, it seems, has to deal with using the refuse of a cow, and then for his food, to prepare his food, and I guess to eat it and so on. Then somehow it gets switched to the poo coming from man, starts to come into the picture. I remember the first time I heard this stuff when I was a child, and I'm just picturing just like 2 slices of bread and the poo in the middle, like you're making a burger, right? Like a sandwich. It's like a poo burger. And the prophet has to eat that. And I was a small child. And I wondered, what in the world would make the Creator want to tell you that you should do that? I guess this man loved God so much that he did it. I'm supposed to think that. Nah. Like I said, I did not ask for this. I just didn't. Talking about the things that I feel I have to express. Now, I'm not saying the God of Israel didn't tell the man this, and it's written in the Torah, and you have to understand that some things really do seem strange, and they'll rush right away. The religiously fervent ones will rush right away to tell you all the spiritual meanings of it. Well, it had to be done because of this. Do you understand that even if people had sin that needed to be taken care of, and that's why it's done? I'm trying to tell you that somebody was being faced with having to eat shit. And so people are just so quick to rush to the spiritual understanding of stuff. And they're not cluing in sometimes with how difficult it is for the world around you to understand that you are trying to teach people or invite people to come to worship your God, who's going to tell people to eat cow shit or human shit, like human feces. Now, maybe if he ate it, if he got some cow feces, he had to brush off the grass off it or brush off the little stones and the dirt that was stuck to it. He had to go through that. But can you imagine if God was going to tell you to eat that stuff? And now he's going to switch it to say, well, instead of cow stuff, you're going to eat human feces, like human poo. And it's like, take it out of the toilet. Because you don't have no cow for yourself now. So your poo, if it's yours, and you're not sure if you'd rather eat somebody else's poo than yours, but if you just have to eat it. The Most High is probably wondering, like, well, what are you complaining about? At least I told him to eat the cow stuff. He had to brush off the dirt and the little stones that stick to it. At least yours is washed in water because it's out of the toilet bowl. There's a lot of water in it, right? Guys. So what do you have to complain about? I'm talking here about anatomy of change. Might be a different kind of lesson for you, but I'm saying I did not ask for this. What did I not ask for? I did not ask to see these things I'm seeing. I just thought I left the Christian church. I'm just going to teach just like the regular Hebrew Israelite doctrines, and at the first I was believing in Jesus, but then his name was one of the Hebrew names that they're quoting around like crazy. And I thought, yeah, that's just how I'm going to teach it. And then I realized, man, there's no Jesus salvation. I didn't ask for that one either. And now I'm realizing that something is wrong with the sacrifices in the scriptures, that the Most High didn't give any kind of flesh or animal sacrifices or human sacrifices. He didn't give any Passover or holiday sacrifices, a Day of Atonement sacrifices. He didn't give any of that stuff. Like, I didn't ask for that either. I just didn't. I didn't see that coming at the start. I thought, okay, I'm teaching something that some people don't like, that there's no salvation in the New Testament through Calvary. I thought that's where it would stop at, and people just argue with me about that. I thought that's where it would stop at. I didn't ask for that. But then when I saw the rest of the stuff for the sacrifices of the heathen becoming the sacrifices of Israel, I'm like, no, I didn't see that one coming either. I really didn't ask for more enemies with that one. It's like, but I didn't ask to see some of this stuff. Did I want to see more things as I studied the scriptures? Yeah, but not these kind of stuff. But I understand that when people begin to grow, A Hebrew camp can't fit them the same way a Christian church can fit them. And I didn't make that last point out of any hatred. I've got a lot of people still in the Christian church, and I've met so many people now from the Hebrew camps online, because I only have been to one camp locally, and they were very nice people. If you listen to my early videos, you heard me say that I went to the GOCC in Toronto, and as much as I don't now believe what they teach, they were very nice to me, the GOCC camp, and that's to their credit. They're very nice, and I really enjoyed visiting with them, and they really liked me, and it was very good. I really like it, and I wish them well. Just because I teach something different now with no New Testament, now I really like them, and so I'm not saying it in any hatred. If you're doing what you're doing, then you're doing what you're doing, and that's what you are driven to do, and so on. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes some people just get to a place where, even though it is really nice, some people just can't fit into a camp or another Christian church. They just can't. They've just seen too much. Their head was turned a certain way when they weren't asking for it, and they just can't look back. They just can't be the same anymore. They're not telling you necessarily to stop what you're doing. They're just saying that for them, it's just like something else has drawn them away, and they just can't be the same anymore. How do you think a prophet would feel today if you had to tell him to go to a camp and you're teaching what you're teaching, or in your Christian church, and that prophet doesn't hate you in New York, he doesn't hate you doing what you're doing in Toronto, he doesn't hate you doing what you're doing wherever else you are. He just feels that the Most High has drawn him away and turned his head to look at something else. You got some fire right there in your camp and in your church, but a bush that is burning has caught his attention, and there's another fire over there that he's looking at. He doesn't hate you. He's just like, something else is burning right here, and I just can't do it the way you're doing it. You're still Israel, but there's a fire over here I'm looking at. Yeah, I know you got your fire right here too, but yeah, I know we're one people, but I got to go up that mountain and see just what is up there, because, you know, like, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay right here in your camp. I wanted to stay right here in your church, you know. But something else is drawing me, and I just know I got to go. Like, I wanted to stay with you, but I didn't ask. I did not ask for this. And so I'm shifting now and teaching the Torah slightly different. As some of you are wondering, this guy is starting to sound different. Okay, he was teaching the New Testament is fake, and okay, we tolerated that, but now he's sounding kind of different. He's telling us this and that, whatever, and he's wondering if Adam was the first man, and he's wondering, like, you know, the sacrificial system, and so on. He's just sounding kind of different and so on, but it's just like, you know, and they're wondering, but truth is, I didn't choose this on my own. I just did not ask for this. And so you got to go where you are really being led. Or you're going to become what someone else is and not where you are. And you're going to go where someone else is being led and not where you are. And you will never become you, because you are so busy becoming what someone else already is, because they've convinced you you should be them and not you. But they don't tell it to you like that. They just tell you, come to the next meeting. I'm going to teach you. And you never get to be taught by the Lord. Because you do not believe the Lord, you believe your teacher. Don't believe me, believe the Most High. Just use what I say as some kind of assistance on your journey. So the prophet now, if he comes to town and he's living in your side, in your time, you're going to have a tough time trying to convince him that he should do it just the way you want it done, just because you're the leader. Because maybe the king back then might have been the leader, and maybe the high priest might have been chosen to lead in his role, and maybe the scribe knew just how this and that should be written. But now this prophet is going to give something else for the scribe to write, because that prophet is being led by another leader. He's being led by the Most High, the greatest leader that is above the king, the scribe, and the high priest. That prophet, he didn't ask to sound different from everybody else who was supporting the king and the priests and so on. He just thought, yeah, he was being trained at the school of the prophets, and he's moving with Samuel, he's moving with Elijah, he's moving with whatever. And he didn't see it coming. He supported the king all along. All of a sudden, a word just comes to him, and he's got to tell the king something different. That might get him thrown in a prison that he didn't choose. Might get him starved. But he didn't ask for that either. Might get him ostracized, but he did not ask for that as well. Everybody's going to curse him out, saying, watch out for that prophet right there. He did not choose that himself. Why does he speak the things he speaks? Why does he see the way he sees? Because he did not ask for his calling. Because if he asked for it, he would have asked for just what you've got. He would have asked for just what makes the king comfortable. He would have asked for just what makes the other prophets feel that they can hang around him some more. He would have asked for just what is the status quo. He did not ask for what made him him. Deborah didn't say, I am not a man, so I cannot do this. Deborah said to herself, there is a need in Israel. And until you can decide to yourself, I did not ask for this, but this is the route I know I have to take, you will never fulfill what you're here to fulfill. But someone else's fulfillment is what you will spend your days working toward. So the prophet does not intend to ostracize himself from Israel. He does not mean to get his father's house angry at him. He does not want to put the scribe in a tight place, wondering, should I really write this stuff? The king might be mad at me, but the prophet said he heard from God, and this is what I have to write. It might get me in some trouble with the king. Like, he does not mean to put the scribe in that spot, but when the prophet says he hears from the Most High, let's read another scripture. Let's go over to Hosea chapter 1. And we know the whole deal with Hosea told to take a wife and so on. That was a prostitute. It says here, Hosea 1 verse 2 and 3, the beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. See, I like how they put it right there. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. Because until you can see that there is a newness about the call on your life that begins your ministry, that begins your call, that begins your future, you will always go with what someone else began 20 years ago when it was their calling. I'm not saying don't help, don't assist other people while you learn from them and so on, but there has to be a beginning for you as well when you begin to understand that you are hearing from the Most High for yourself, if you really are hearing from Him and not only from your teacher. There comes a time when you've got to step out, no matter what it costs you, and say to yourself, cost me what it will, I gotta go on. There's a path that I have to walk. So the beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. See, the word of the Lord started a long time ago. The whole creation came by a word. It was there before you were even made. But he looks at it like, this is a fresh beginning for me. And the Lord said to Hosea, go, take unto thee a wife and whoredoms and children of whoredoms. So this is an arranged marriage. He doesn't just get to just choose a woman that he likes. You know, he's walking through the market getting some food, and he's like, every time he goes to the market, he sees this woman, eventually they start talking, whatever. Arrangement. And look at what the God of Israel arranged. You feel you have to get the right kind of husband to bring home to your family, to make your family approve of this, and they like this woman or they like that man that you chose. But he chooses for Hosea a hoe. So picture that. You're going to begin with a hoe, because this is the beginning of the word of the Lord. And they will tell you when you are launching out and you're breaking out of their group that they put you in a headlock in to keep you in for the past few years when you wanted to go, and you managed to break out of it. They tell you you're just going the path of a hoe. Nobody's going to listen to you because you're just a hoe. You're like a hoe. Nobody's going to care about what you're teaching. Nobody's going to care about the new group you're starting because you're nothing but a hoe. You're low down. Even though it is the beginning of the word of the Lord in your life, it is the beginning of a new path that you must walk. But they will put you down so low, making you feel like God is not with you. And it will come down so heavy on you, you will say, man, all this pressure coming up against me, I didn't ask for any of this, but you know you must still walk it. But they'll come against you with the pressure to try to get you to stop teaching, to stop doing what you're doing, to stop moving, to stop launching out. And they'll tell you everything is wrong with what you're doing because you're launching out with a hoe. Who starts an Israelite camp with a hoe by their side? Hey, you're launching out? Didn't I see that bee that you're with downtown last night with 5 men? And every weekend I see her down there when I'm driving by from work. And you're starting your own Israelite movement with her? And so they tell you all the spiritual lessons from all the verses that they'll quote to you that you're going the wrong way. How can God be in it, the God of Israel, when she is a hoe? Your woman is a hoe. She's been with 5 other brothers from the different camps. And you will convince yourself that the Most High never arranged where you are at and your situation right now. You've gone so wrong in life. You've done so many wrong things. You've repented over so many things. And here it is again. You are faced with another situation that does not look good. And you wish you could wipe it off your slate. Don't add this next one to my slate. But this time, God arranged it. And everybody tells you how bad it looks, and you know this isn't your doing this time. You never asked for this one. And the people you served for so many years, just because you wish to take a step out to where you feel you are being led, they begin to work against you in ways that they were not willing to do just last month. They weren't going to tear you down last month. They'll put some pressure on you to keep you with them and to keep you in check and so on. But they weren't willing to destroy you just last month or last year, because you were serving them and helping to build their empire, their religious empire of deception. Although sometimes it's not necessarily deception, they could be doing something religiously in a good way, helping to teach people right and so on. But they have not developed in certain better spiritual ways to where they will restrain themselves from harming you if you're trying to move on. See, last year or last month, they wouldn't be doing to you what they're doing to you now because you were serving them. But the moment you decide that it's time for you to move on, they must come against you like the Hittites coming against their enemy. And these are the people you loved and served all these years. But the Most High arranges sometimes a hoe to be in your path. Like, is this really the Bible I'm reading from? Because sometimes you just got to scratch your head and just wonder, like, you know. So let's read a little bit more. So take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. So notice what happened. He moved on with the whore. Started life with the whore. And got a child as well. He was getting offspring from what someone else would curse. Yet the law says it is forbidden to let the daughters of Israel be trained up as whores. And this is a prophet. You can just imagine at some point this prophet Hosea was saying to himself, man, I really didn't ask for this. How will I look in a lineup with prophets like Moses? And with people, if they line me up with people like Isaiah, I'm not going to look good. No, like, I'm a shame, I'm a disgrace. And in the line of the prophets, like, if we have to go to some prophetic function and all the prophets come, and they got all their wives there and they're asking, and then I got to say, this is my wife. Like, it just doesn't look. How would Hosea feel when he has to admit to himself, this does not look good? But you're missing the key, that the scripture says the Most High brings out that the Most High arranged it. Go into something that looks like demise. Go into something that looks like downhill. Go into some further difficulty. Go. And you thought your way forward to doing the will of the Most High was to have the nice fancy website with all the bells and whistles, and you got all kinds of support around you and everything just looking flashy and fine, and you got banners and signs here and there, and you got a nice building to use with it, and the big sign outside and everything, and everybody quoting your name and whatever, people helping to advertise you and so on. But the Most High sends you, he says, go to a place that looks like you're going downhill. And that's how you're going to serve me. And his strategy comes out of that. Not going to read the rest of Hosea, obviously, but see, it's because sometimes I think that we don't understand the prophets. So you curse people today who sound different, who teach something different from you, because all you want is the traditional Torah teaching. You can accept nothing else, and you will curse everyone else who don't sound like you. And the people who have learned from you, they also feel the same way because they've learned from you. That this is just the way it is. You got to look like Isaiah. You got to look like Moses. You got to look like this one, look like that one. You sure can't look like Hosea. But the Most High says, it's all right, Hosea. You can look like you. Go do my will. I think the problem is that we think this way because we've just been cultured in a certain kind of way. When life is crazy, anywhere you get up, life can just take a turn anyway. The problem is, all you have known are teachers. You have not known prophets. Prophets in the scriptures were not usually overly concerned with what came out of their tongue, with how they sounded and so on. Of course, they were a little bit concerned, but not overly so. They just knew they had a job to do, the thing came to them, and this was just their task. The prophet did not consider himself one that had to subscribe even to the rule of Israel or even to the laws of Israel. If his job told him to do something that seemed contrary. Fight me on that one, and I'll make the next video about the prophets. You see, the prophet didn't speak what he was speaking like they taught us because of what was written in the book. The book was written because the prophet had something to speak. So you think they made the book for the prophet to learn? Check it out. Put the thing in reverse. Israelites felt governed by their book. And so the prophet as well, because the prophet was an Israelite. But the prophet was more governed by the word that was on his tongue. Whether you liked it or not. Whether you felt it fit in with the book or not. The prophet, by the word that was deposited on his tongue, would create the next chapter in the book. profit the prophet. If you do not become what you are driven to become, you will never find the change in this life that you really desire. This is the anatomy of change. You have to become like a prophet in your own life, who felt something coming on the inside and he would move according to it. Or for him, there was no fulfillment in life. There was no peace in life. The prophet went forward according to what drove him. That's how your change is going to come. It's going to come by what drives you from the inside. Look at this here, the final scripture to close it off, from Amos chapter 7, verse 13 to 15. They're trying to box in this prophet to make him fit in with the structure of Israel. But he just could not. So they're coming against him, and he certainly didn't ask for that either, but he's like, this is just how I gotta move. Verse 13, but prophesy not again any more at Bethel, for it is the king's chapel, and it is the king's court. So all of a sudden, he's being curtailed now. So he hits back because he's going to fight for what's driving him. Because if there's going to be change in his life to move into being a prophet, like the Most High wants him to be, where he's going to say, look, I didn't start out like this, speaking these things. And if there's going to be change in Israel, then he certainly has to speak. So he can't subscribe to their views of how he should function. And said to Amaziah, I was no prophet. I was no pastor like you. I was no Hebrew Israelite camp leader like you. I was no Moreh, well trained and well studied, well learned for 25 years in the Torah. I wasn't like that. I wasn't on the street getting practice quoting 54 scriptures in one day just to teach one lesson. For the past 15 years, I'm not one of those. I was no prophet. Neither was I a prophet's son. Neither was I a member of a camp. But I was an herdsman. I was an herdman and a gatherer of sycamore fruit. I'm doing something completely unrelated to what the prophet would normally think and do. I don't even think like a prophet. I don't think like a camp teacher. I don't teach the Torah the way the camp teachers do. I was no prophet. I didn't have a full system backing me. I was just a herdman. I was dealing with the sycamore fruit. And the Lord took me as I followed the flock. And the Lord said unto me, go prophesy unto my people Israel. I could have raised up another one famous like Isaiah. I could have raised up another one as famous as Moses. But I took the guy that was dealing with the sycamore fruit. I could have raised up another one dynamic like Elijah or Elisha. that was on the street corners belting out the laws from Deuteronomy and Exodus and so on. But I took the one that was dealing with the flock, getting his hands messy with the sycamore fruit. That's the one I chose. When I got a special work, I choose people who don't seem to subscribe to the normal ins and outs. I was no prophet. But go prophesy unto my people Israel. Now therefore hear thou the word of the Lord. Thou sayest, prophesy not against Israel, and drop not thy word against the house of Isaac. He is prophesying against the house of Isaac. And you say he's got a devil. But he was sent against the house of Isaac to tell them that their Torah teachings are in some cases, not all, but in some cases, the work of the devil. But I can do that because I'm not a trained prophet. Because the trained prophet sometimes just feel like he just has to do everything by the book. So I'm going to send me a man that's not like all the others. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, thy wife shall be an harlot. And he goes on. Until you are ready to become you, you will always go where they want you to go and be what they want you to be. Until you are ready to decide that truly, I didn't ask for this. I didn't map out this path for myself. Then you'll have to admit that you are not being led by the Most High. You may be led by them. See, when are you going to become you? Regardless of the friends that you will lose, when are you going to become the person you were born to be? Anatomy of change. When you are ready to become you, you will become you no matter who wants you to become them. Because as long as you stop off from becoming you and go on another year, another 2 years and so on, doing what they want you to do, all you are doing is just becoming more of them. Maybe the world is ready for a little bit more change that is inside of you.